KC24's Patrick Nelson is in downtown Fresno tonight, where people are saying Borland's decision may have a lasting impact on the game of football. Patrick?
Evan, Chris Borland is hardly a household name here in Fresno, but it's the reasons behind his decision to walk away from the NFL that have become a topic of discussion for families here with young athletes. Medical experts here in downtown Fresno tell me the decision to play the game of football shouldn't be taken lightly. 49ers linebacker Chris Borland's decision to leave the NFL on his own terms is generating reaction across the country, and a former NFL player weighed in Tuesday on Fresno radio.
When I played, it was different. We didn't have this information. There were no links to long-term effects on your brain due to repetitive head trauma. We had no idea. Now guys can make an informed and educated decision.
Treating area football players for decades, UCSF Fresno neurologist Terry Hutchison says the danger has always been there, and it's something he worries about.
I can remember 30, 40 years ago when we all knew that football wasn't good for you.
After a closer look at recent studies, Hutchison says the concussions suffered on a high school football field do have a lasting impact.
A bang on the head is a permanent injury that may well lead to deterioration later in your life.
With this in mind, some parents in the Central Valley are steering their kids toward other sports like baseball. Roy Skog says the decision for his son was simple.
It's because of the concussion. That's the main thing. You can fix almost anything that breaks in your body, but you can't fix your head.
Sophomore Michael Alvarez enjoys baseball but says playing quarterback at San Joaquin Memorial High School in Fresno is his passion.
I love the game. I mean, because God gave me the talent, so I'm going to use it to all my ability. And if I get hurt, I get hurt. I'm thankful every day.
Watching his games from the stands, his mom says his decision to play football at times makes her nervous.
All it takes is one time. So, but you know, everything's in, I'm a believer, is if it's meant to be, you know, it's in God's hands. And so if it's got to keep on pressing on. If it's meant for you to play, then play.
Now take a look at this. In a 2009 study of NFL retirees from the University of Michigan, the numbers show men who have played in the NFL are more likely to suffer from dementia, Alzheimer's disease, or have other memory-related issues. It's numbers like this that have health experts saying Borland's decision is reasonable. And I also talked with the folks over at Fresno State Sports Medicine today that say they're working to protect football players who suffer concussions. They have to pass a 5-step protocol to get back on the field. Reporting live in downtown Fresno tonight, Patrick Nelson, KC24, local news that matters.
Raquel Cervantes is live at the Fresno County Sheriff's Office with more on the efforts to prevent it. Raquel?
Lindsay and Ken, detectives say thieves are stealing brass parts used for irrigation, mainly in orchards and vineyards. They are then taking them to recycling centers to get cash for the scrap metal. But detectives with the Sheriff's Office Ag Task Force are working closely with the recycling centers to look out for any suspicious activity. In the past 2 months, detectives with the Fresno County Sheriff's Ag Task Force have seen an increase in the theft of certain metal parts from farmers' yards.
This is pure brass, and this is what has the money in it. So sometimes you'll see these at the recycling yards.
Sergeant Ryan Hushaw says thieves are targeting brass gate valves and T-handles, metal parts used to control water flow. It's mainly happening in vineyards and orchards in the Kerman, Helm, and Cantua Creek areas.
What they'll do is they'll actually remove that T-handle, and then they'll take that to be recycled at the recycling yards. And like I said, it's a pretty good chunk of metal that they can get some money for.
To try to prevent these thefts, recycling centers that accept metal are required by law to take down certain information from customers.
And this is our receipts that they have to do thumbprint, print and sign, and their thumbprint. It has all their information, and we also take a picture.
In West Central Fresno, the Earthwise Recycling Center works closely with the Ag Task Force. If a material is suspicious, staff members contact detectives and place a hold on the metal.
I'll send him the picture, and he'll tell me, you know, it looks suspicious, hold it. So I'll do a 3-day hold. I'll let the customer know.
Hushaw says thieves sometimes try to make cash off bucketfuls of these brass parts. It's a crime that's severely impacting farmers. Hushaw recommends that farmers be proactive and mark all of their equipment.
Whether that be, you know, a unique type of paint, or maybe the farm initials on it, or even engrave some of the metal.
Effort to bring justice.
Last Friday, Avenel police arrested 2 teens for this murder, but they say they had to let them go without enough evidence to charge them. Now family and community members are rallying for justice.
Pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
A city united can't be divided. That's the message of dozens of people marching through the streets of Avenal. They want justice for the murder of 14-year-old Giovanni Hernandez. Giovanni was shot and killed March 3rd, a victim of gang violence.
We want justice for Giovanni. We want justice for Giovanni.
Giovanni's family says he was not involved in gangs. His sister and father didn't want to show their face on camera, but have this message.
We want justice for taking my little 14-year-old brother out of my mom's and dad's hand.
Giovanni's father says only God knows the pain of losing a child. His family says Giovanni was home when a teen came to the door and brought him outside. A few minutes later, they heard gunshots. The family believes the teen who was last seen with Giovanni is responsible or knows who is responsible. So do police. Last Friday, they arrested him and another 16-year-old male, but have since released them.
Unfortunately, the Kings County District Attorney's Office felt there was not enough evidence to convict at the time based on the evidence presented to them and declined the charges at this point in time.
The Kings County Gang Task Force is investigating the murder along with Avenal police. Family friend Blenda Vasquez says people are afraid to speak up out of fear of retaliation, but says the community can't tolerate living in fear.
Now it's to the point that you're seeing 13, 14-year-old little boys carrying guns, and we don't let our kids out. Now we're in fear for our kids, and I think we need to do something as a community.
Avenal police are asking for the public's help and cooperation to solve this crime. In Avenal, Raquel Cervantes, CBS 47 Eyewitness News.
Target, Sony, and Anthem, some of the largest corporations, are being hacked for your personal information. Even the copy machine at your office could put your identity at risk.
And these hard drives can just be easily pulled out and attached to a computer, and you can see an image of what was scanned just in the form of a picture.
Identity theft has affected over 11 million Americans. Peterson owns an IT support company in Clovis. He says clients often come to him looking for identity theft protection.
Easy hacks on Yahoo Mail and Gmail and these kinds of things that these hackers can create little robots to do all the attempting for them.
But hacking is just a small part of the identity theft world. Morgan Lynch believes someone here in Fresno County stole her identity.
This is actually just a portion of the inquiries, meaning these are all the companies that they try to get credit cards with in my name.
The Fresno County Sheriff's Department contacted her when they arrested a suspect with dozens of her personal documents.
They found a bunch of items with my name, my social, a lot of personal information of mine, like where I worked, my phone number, addresses.
Lynch still doesn't know how it happened, but says at one point the identity thieves had her mail stopped so they could pick it up at the post office. She was told by detectives that someone locally had targeted her.
There was a handful of people involved in it. They have a little organization.
Lynch was able to stop the identity thieves before they did major financial damage, but she has spent hours on the phone clearing up her credit and believes the thieves sold her information on the black market because she now gets hundreds of calls from scammers.
It actually makes me really angry because it may not be a violent crime, but I have no doubt that when they get out, they're going to do it again. And forever, my Social Security is out there somewhere.
The Financial Crimes Unit here at the Fresno Police Department has seen a 50% increase in identity theft over the last 4 years. And detectives say the most common ways thieves are getting your information is by stealing purses, wallets, and even your mail.
But it is becoming much more popular among particularly street gangs to utilize identity theft as a way to fund their operations.
Police recovered all of these documents in the possession of an identity theft suspect who they caught committing a burglary.
It was at an apartment complex in northwest Fresno. A gentleman was actually seen with a blowtorch trying to open up a cash box.
So what can you do to protect yourself?
The biggest motion that people can remember is this one, okay? Just cover up and you're going to reduce your risk by at least in half.
Peterson says everyone should shred old documents, use difficult passwords, and log out of your computer, even at work. And if you are dealing with password fatigue, websites like LastPass can help. You can get a free credit report every year at annualcreditreport.com, or you can pay a service for more consistent monitoring.
To tell you the truth, there are only a couple of credit monitoring agencies that I trust, but they do exist. I mean, you have LifeLock and you have Identity Shield that are great services.
Peterson also recommends educating yourself about phishing scams. That's when cyber criminals send you an email posing as a legitimate company in order to get your account information.
At which point you click the link here and it takes you to a poison page.
If someone steals your identity, file a police report, place a fraud alert on your credit report, and close any accounts that may have been tampered with.
When we close one hole, these clever people find another to exploit, and if they would only use their powers for good instead of evil, we would probably solve a lot more problems on the planet.
Jessica Porter, KC24, local news that matters.
If you look past the brittle weeds and old barns, on this gated piece of land on the outskirts of Madera, you can't miss it. A bright blue Star of David, a symbol of Jewish identity. And a sign with Hebrew writing, raising questions for a community made up of mostly Christian churches. But inside, a Jewish temple offering answers. At least for this man. Rabbi Sandoval.
Hashem is God.
He calls out to Hashem, that's Hebrew for God, and prays in Spanish, his native tongue.
I born in Mexico, and I raised in Mexico too.
But his religion isn't the same as the vast majority of Mexican immigrants. Rabbi Sandoval was raised Catholic.
My family was very religious family, but not Jewish.
His parents sent him to seminary and he became a priest, but he felt it wasn't enough. He had more spiritual questions and looked for answers in his roots.
I was so hungry for the truth.
He learned about his ancestors, Sephardic Jews who fled the Inquisition in Spain more than 4 centuries ago. So he sought out to find a rabbi who would teach him everything he knew. And it dawned on him, God gave him the freedom to choose, and he would. Ventura Sandoval soon became Baruch Sandoval. He gave himself a biblical name, meaning blessed.
When we always pray, we always start with Baruch atah Adonai.
He taught himself to read and write in Hebrew in his dreams.
For almost 7 months, I had a dream, and then I get up and write what I see, and then after I got my dictionaries to see what that means.
Then took it a step further, crossed the border to California, and officially converted to Judaism.
Finally, I found the Torah.
Rabbi Sandoval discovered this building when it was still an Episcopal church and turned it into his house of worship, covered in Jewish symbols, appropriately named it Beersheva, Hebrew for a well dug by Abraham, a reference to the Bible, and in a way, the town.
This is like a well that God gave us.
By us, he means his followers.
The people that came and study here.
He doesn't reach out to them, they find him.
They just want to learn.
In the last 5 years, the congregation has grown from 1 family to 10 families of Mexican descent. It doesn't sound like a lot, but to them, it's all they need for a group prayer session. And during the high holidays, many more visit from the motherland, each one with an emotional story, like Jesus Rios, whose journey to Judaism has been rough.
When we were Christian, we went through hard times. And he gave us a big hand. He taught us a lot of things.
Rabbi Sandoval introduced him to the Torah. That's the written law, this scroll, typically stored in a holy place under lock and key. But on this night, a Jewish holiday that celebrates the Torah, they take turns dancing with it. And after they've worked up a sweat, they head for the kitchen just next door.
Okay.
They stand together as Rabbi Sandoval performs
Baruch atah Adonai.
holiday customs. Even though Rabbi Sandoval's town is about 60% Hispanic,
And it's in Spanish.
not everyone accepts him or his temple. Some demand that he get out of town.
Okay.
But he stays grounded, tucked away among the lifeless fields, because for him, the meaning of life is the search.
Now, there's no database showing the number of Hispanics who have completed religious conversions, but reports show it's happening nationwide. Rabbi Sandoval calls them hidden Jews. Reporting in the studio, Lamore Abrams, KC24, local news that matters.